Hi, so I'm a graphic designer.
Hi, I'm Bill.
Yes, I'm Lee.
I'm Chris.
Hey, hi everybody, I'm Elena.
I'm a brand designer.
Hi, I'm Kuba.
I'm Paul.
I'm a brand and motion designer.
Yeah, I also work at Hyperfocus.
It's a good turnout, eh? I think the last one with Simon's probably exploded the range and reach a little bit, right? That was a great talk.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It was.
What a switched on guy.
How's everyone? Thanks for getting on. We've got some new people. We've got Aaron finally, who's like, Aaron does a bit of work with us and he's never joined one yet. So I'm pleased he has. Obviously Lee's here. Well, actually, let me just go through the little topics today. So there was three general topics. The first one was, anyone need a logo? How's everyone doing? Because it's kind of like the world feels a bit wild at the minute, especially for folks in the Middle East. There's lots of people feeling pretty anxious at the moment. So I think it's a good time to have a bit of a chat. And then another topic is, when work is maybe struggling, is there side hustles and is there other things that we can do to generate revenue? And then the third one was
The importance of standing up for what you believe in and having a voice, Gareth.
That's right. Thanks for that, Chris. The reason why is because I was watching Paul and Jan on the Common Grounds event a couple of weeks back, and I ended up just watching all of the talks because it was like streaming on YouTube. And there was one of the lads who did it the year before. He was a Scottish guy. Paul, I don't know if you've seen that lad. He's from an agency in Glasgow, and they've kind of blown up and they're doing quite well. But he was like, I'm very political, I'm an activist, and if people think that you can't like have a voice and can't stand up for stuff, then that's like entirely wrong. Like, brands come to us because we do have a voice. So I'm gonna shut up now. So shall we just do 10 seconds hi from everybody? I don't know how we're going to keep track of this, so let's just try our best. Gabriel's in my top corner. So Gabriel, you want to go first?
Hi, so I'm a graphic designer, a junior graphic designer. I've been working with Garrett for the past 2 years almost. And I'm also an automotive photographer.
Right, I'm just going to go who's in the orders of my screen. So Dale's next.
Hi, I'm Dale. I'm a middleweight designer for an agency here in Dubai.
Chris?
Hey, yeah, I'm Chris, creative director, innovation consultant, and all things design for about 27 years now. Yeah, ex-colleague of Gareth's back in the day.
All right, Lee, you're up next.
Yes, I'm Lee. I run a couple of businesses in the creative digital skill space in Sunderland in the Northeast. So a lot of our kind of creative work is focused around educational outcomes for our clients.
Hi everyone. Yeah, I'm a brand designer based in Abu Dhabi, but currently stuck in Kuwait with the situation going on. I work with a lot of studios and agencies across the region in the UK. Gareth is one of those.
Thanks. Kuba?
Hi, I'm Kuba. I'm an ACD for a little fierce agency called Them Again, and that's why I drink.
Fair enough. All right. Paul WH.
That's me, right?
Hyperfocus. It is, yes.
Yeah, right. I'm Paul, co-founder of Hyperfocus. We're international. I put that word in front of everything. Brand design studio from Hamburg.
Thank you very much. With a fantastic YouTube channel, if you don't know already.
Everyone, I'm also working at Hyperfocus. I'm a brand and motion designer there. Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you as well. Alex?
Yeah, I also work at Hyperfocus. I was senior brand designer and general designer here as well. So yeah, lovely to meet you.
Where's your accent from? I'm trying to place it.
Derby.
Oh, okay, cool. My father lived around
Derby.
I went there once, but that's another story. All right, next, moving on.
Hey, hi everybody, I'm Elena. I'm also the third one here on the team of Paul's, so I work at Hyperfocus as a designer as well.
Awesome. Next up is Ben. Thanks for joining, Ben.
Hey guys, I'm Ben. I'm an illustrator. I work under the name Ben the Illustrator. Yeah, first time on here. I've known Gareth for a little while online and stuff. Good to be here.
It has been a little while, right? It's been about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, it's been a good 3 weeks so far. All right, Crash.
Morning. My name's Crash. I am in Dubai.
I run a company formation and corporate services agency, and I'm currently launching a funded venture builder in DIFC, assuming it's still there.
Yeah, we'll get to that next. And yeah, hi everyone. If you don't know me, my name's Gareth. I run AcidWorks, and it's a brand digital tech specializing boutique remote international studio. And we kind of specialize in a lot of kind of tech, IT, cloud. We do a bit of everything really. So as you do. So lovely to meet you all. All right. So first topic of today, and by all means we can go in any direction, but the first topic today is how we all doing? How's life in around the Middle East where you are? Are you feeling okay? How's it been? Obviously we've seen some of the positive things about community and whatnot, but also it's no doubt been quite scary as well. So I'm not there right now, so I'm not going to ramble on for too long, but I was there a couple of weeks back. So yeah, how's it going? What's how you all feeling about it?
I think it looks worse on the TV, as always. It's not actually that bad. You know, like everyone's still getting on with their day-to-day. Especially being in Kuwait, the only major disruption is the airport being closed. But apart from that, like everyone's pretty much, yeah, just getting on with things and doing what they need to do.
Kuba's got his hand up. Kuba, do you want to go?
I wanted to cut in with a slight little off topic, and then follow up with an answer. Have you played Marathon?
I'm an Arc Raiders boy, man. No. Although the graphics, if you've not seen the graphics for Marathon, Paul and you guys check it out. It's incredible. Totally took inspiration from Wipeout, but I thought the game was a bit, yeah. So I thought the graphics were too much.
It's a game created by people who are behind Halo, but the main sort of interest here for us designers is that Alberto Mielgo, the guy behind the Spider-Man animated movies, the Love, Death and Robots episode, Witness, and Jabaro, if I'm not mistaken, a guy with a very unique sort of approach to visuals, took on the art direction. And it's a problem because everything is so beautifully designed that we end up deciphering tooltips. And that's the only thing that I wanted to say. It looks gorgeous, but it's just completely non-functional. And then there's a lot of people who just raise that flag. And coming back to the step of the topic, I personally, quoting Captain McTavish, the staying frosty, and I'm not trying to engage in any discussions about things because it just kind of feeds the spiral of negative thoughts in a lot of people. So, you know, I'm just observing the situation, and, you know, just staying level-headed and cool about it as much as it's possible. I'm prepared as much as it's possible, but there's just certain things that you can't prepare for, and that's that. Aside from that, you know, I live in JVC, where JVC is the least interest of the entire world from the tactical standpoint. So it's as quiet as it always is. Not like massive noise from the construction. That's pretty much it.
The thing is, though, Kuba, you've got to realize that JVC is all based on a circle, so it's just one big target from the sky. So maybe, you know, get excited.
I mean,
oh my god!
If they do strike, they're gonna remove the hive, the biggest hive of influencers in the whole world, which is the 5 Hotel. So I'm not sure.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Well, if they did strike there, you wouldn't be able to tell on the roads because they're that bad. They're like potholes in the UK, so you wouldn't even know if they'd actually hit any of the roadworks. You just, you know, still be losing a wheel every time you go down the corner.
Yeah. As long as the Irish bar's okay, right? That's all everybody does in JVC. What's it called again? Fibber? No, what's it called again? That Irish bar? McCaffrey's. Sorry, that's right. Yeah, it's a good one to be fair. Aaron, did you ever go to McCaffrey's?
Yeah, I've been. Yeah. I know. I went to one in Alfrejan and had like a Sunday roast one time, and it wasn't that great.
That's my old local. Yeah, I used to live in Alfrejan.
Is there another McCaffrey's?
Yeah, there's a few, I think.
Oh, okay. I went to the one. Some Manchester lads were doing a brunch there, and there was dancers, like what do you call them, Irish dancers, and there was like fiddlers and singers. It was really good, actually. Like the best Irish
Yeah.
entertainment I've ever seen. So, Dale, how are you finding it? You okay?
Yeah, I'm in JVC as well, so it's quite
Right.
quiet here. It's more you just read the reports and you're like, oh dear, downtown's not doing too good. But then I haven't. The only time I heard any interceptions was day one, maybe day two, and then after
Right.
that, I haven't heard anything really. So it's been pretty good in this area. But I knew my friend, she lives in Marina, and she's hearing it quite a lot, so she's a lot more spooked than I would be, to be honest.
Because that pointy pencil tower got hit by debris, didn't it?
Yeah, the address got hit. So she's
Oh, yeah.
she's like moving out to Demac Hills now. So she's
Right.
just sort of wanting to stay away from that area.
Yeah, it's I think the challenge Dubai's got it's a really interesting kind of thing to kind of ponder. Is Dubai's always, I mean, first of all, it's great to hear that you're all doing okay, because I don't think everybody is. I've definitely heard people that are like leaving, even temporarily. Yeah, there's definitely people who kind of in different spirits, and it seems like you guys are kind of in higher spirits. I've seen you guys seen that guy who's like the security expert, and he's got a bald head and he always wears a suit, and he's basically saying the percentage of risk here, and it was like 0.33% of whatever the total was, and he said Dubai is like extremely small compared to other places in the world, like generally. So please don't think you've really got a lot to be scared about. One thing that I remember when kind of Palestine was probably in its first year, I remember it was New Year's Eve, and I was with my little girl on the beach in Dubai, and there was fireworks going off, and I couldn't enjoy myself, because I knew that, you know, like an hour and 2 hours flight away was just fucking horror going on, you know what I mean? And there was just people like watching the fireworks, and it's just you can't comprehend what's happening like a short flight away, you know? Like, it must be weird just hearing sounds in the sky, and like your little daughter saying, what's that sound, you know? I mean, I'm not personally affected from that, but my Airbnb on the Palm, all its cancellations gone. So this will be all of its bookings have been cancelled. So it's the first time in 10 years I'll have to pay the mortgage on that property. So everyone's getting affected, right, in one way or another. So the reason why I asked you to join, Crash, is because you'll know more than all of us from like a business perspective, how you're finding sort of the general business.
So it's a bit of a wait and see situation at the moment in terms of investors. I assume you're asking about specifically. Obviously, Dubai was hyping around the world, and everyone was desperate to pour their money in here. We'd seen all the major, or a lot of incubators and accelerators show up in the last 18 months, sort of before they were ready, because they're all desperate to get into this market. So Plug and Play had shown up, Antler had shown up, Techstars had shown up, and attempted to get things going on the ground here to varying degrees of success. Now, I think there's a couple of things. It's early days. Everyone's on hold. Like you said, people aren't using your Airbnb. I had 2 or 3 friends that were selling their houses. Their buyers have now gone. I run a company formation agency as well as a couple other things. Obviously, nobody's setting up businesses right now. All the deals that we had are put on hold. I think we've been lucky so far in the dozen or so ground strikes that have hit. There've been like a port and, you know, an empty villa. I know a car got hit, but had it hit a restaurant or a major mall or something, the situation would be a lot worse. And it still might get there, to be honest. We had 3 strikes just overnight. So as of today, I think it's a dent in the growth of Dubai. If it stopped today, things would continue on. A dent for sure. Some investors and some people who are looking to move over here will be scared off by this, 100%. But as of today, I don't think it's been disastrous. But if it escalates from here, obviously, the longer it goes on and the worse it gets, the more damage it does. And international investors will no longer start looking at Dubai as a viable place to bring their money, because the number one thing you look for is stability, right? Now, whether that has a major effect, I'm not sure just yet. Historically, Dubai has done pretty well after a crisis. After COVID, obviously, they did amazing. After 2008, they did great. A few other examples I could pull from is they generally do well afterwards. So whatever, at the moment, I'd say the international shortfall will be some, and I think will make up for that international sport for themselves.
Chris, what about you? You're down, I know you work down in Abu Dhabi. Maybe we'll just get your thoughts before we move on to a slightly more serious topic.
Not been to AD since it kicked off. It's all been work from home. I work for government, so they've been pretty good in that respect. But I'm mostly remote anyway. But I am up on in Town Square, right at the back end of the population, which is actually about 10 minutes from an army base. So yeah, I was watching interceptors launch from my garden, which was an interesting experience. A couple of loud bangs that shook the place, which is unnerving. But other than that, it's been fine. Been absolutely fine. And my walk every day with the baby and the wife, and we talk to the community as we walk around. I mean, I think it's the phrase I keep hearing at the minute online and around is a bad day in Dubai is usually better than a good day in most of the places, and I think that stands true at the moment. Everything's kind of going on, and there's a guy I met the other day who's actually in the military as a contractor, and been here 14 years, a British guy, speaks Arabic, and he was just like, I have zero fears, and he knows exactly what's going on in regards to, you know, all the different bits of equipment that are sold, what the country has in regards to as part of its defenses and stuff. So I echo what Crash says. I think there's going to be obviously fallout from it. It just depends on the duration of stuff, but it's been unnerving, and I think it's taken its toll stressfully on me more than I realized, just being on edge, you know, especially being here, because you just hear all the jets taking off all the time, which I used to anyway, but now you hear it and it's like, you kind of think about it. But I think it is a testament to the country, the leadership, and how well they've dealt with it. There's not many other places in the world would have been able to do what this place has done in regards to defense-wise. I think not in the way they have. So yeah, it's very impressive. So in some ways, I feel safer than I did before. I'm still, you know, there's still an effect there, stress there, but I feel safer because I know that they've got that capability now and it's been tested. So, but I also think, final thing on it, I also think that I kind of see it as an opportunity. I think I always try to look at everything that comes towards me, if it's something of a challenge, you know, something that's not necessarily planned for, if it's a surprise, especially if it's initially thought of as negative, I always try and flip it and go, okay, well, what's the positive that comes out of it? Yes, a lot of people have left. I think a lot of people who left didn't really know the region, or they were here for the wrong reasons. I weirdly spoke to a guy on the walk who had a small dog, and he works in the shelters, and they've been overrun by people leaving animals and pets behind, which it's just horrendous.
I heard that.
It's really bad. So, you know, I thanked him for what he was doing. But again, I think the ones who want to be here have been here a while. I think 7 years I've been here now, which is longer for some and not long compared to many others. I see it as a hopefully there's more opportunities for designers and for all people who want to, you know, who still believe in the region, to keep sort of growing and have success. And it kind of weeds out a lot of the people who are maybe there just for the wrong reasons. So yeah, that's my thoughts at the moment.
Alex, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, from some of the things you said before, of like, do you like a genuine opinion on this is like, do you ever do you worry about, not worry, but about the normalization of what's happening? Because missiles flying overhead and stuff is not normal, and it should never be considered normal and okay and something that we should just get on with, you know. And this kind of thing of a bad day in Dubai or UAE is better than a good day somewhere else. I mean, it's true in a lot of places, but I mean, you do feel like that kind of installation in Europe away from all this sort of stuff. But like that kind of normalization of like, oh, it's a bad day, there's missiles flying overhead, I could get killed, a building could get knocked down, but it's still better than, you know, like Hamburg or something. Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. And there's been a lot of the things about like a lot of the messaging from the media, or from the higher ups in the UAE. I saw an article the other day yesterday about 20 people have been arrested for having videos of this sort of stuff on the phone, like videos of missiles being used. I don't know how true it is. It was in the Guardian. I read it. I thought, well, that's good. And I've got family out there as well, so I've seen a lot of stuff going on, you know. And like, yeah, I was just wondering about like the normalization of these kind of crazy, like COVID. When COVID happened, lockdown and all that sort of stuff, the normalization of staying at home happened quite quickly and then there was this disruption again. And do you think that this could be a similar situation? And now, like, we're seeing like a lot of the trauma and a lot of the problems that all caused now in like development of people and people's like long-lived in traumas and long COVID and all this sort of stuff. But do you think there could be some sort of repercussion later on that is based on people's trauma of what just happened? Because we have to remember this isn't normal and it isn't okay to live.
Yeah, it's not normal, and I agree that's true. The reason I say what I'm saying is more because it's out of my control. I can't do anything about it, so I don't want to spend too much time. Of course, I'm thinking about it. Of course, I've got a baby. I've got I've got a child here. You know what I mean? Of course, it bothers me. However, I think to your point, it's not the normalization of there's missiles flying about here. If they could get missiles to the UK, then they would. Do you know what I mean? If they could attack,
yeah, that's what I talked about. Was that kind of insulation here? Exactly. I mean, we have our own problems being close to Ukraine, and
I don't want to personally, and it's not my call to do so or not to do so. I don't want to personally get too much into politics on here because I think it's a design chat, and I'd rather keep it on. However, I think the problem, what you're talking to there about normalization, is on a whole in a global level. The fact that the war started in the first place, all that kind of stuff. For what reasons? For the people at the top that are doing things that, has got nothing to do with anyone here on the ground, that's for sure, right? Yet the people here in the firing line. And I think that is the problem. You're right in what you say, the normalization. I think the normalization of everything that's going on globally right now is really bad. And I think it's time for, people to take back the control and all that kind of stuff. But I don't want to get too political on it. So that's all.
I just want to answer Alex's question about the reports of people being jailed. So just for clarity, what happened was the government sent I actually got an email notification. It was either today or yesterday. Yesterday. It's interesting, right? But it's all about communication and people following. I think it's really fascinating how different cultures work. So, for example, if you think about, let me tell you a story. I was in Sunderland, right, about 3 years ago with my old mate. He was an old doorman around the town, but he's an older guy and certain mindsets and whatnot. But there was the time when there was an announcement that the UK government was testing the ability to send messages to everyone in the case of an emergency. And other countries do that all the time, by the way. We get like weather warnings in Korea. Dubai will send it. I mean, they're doing a lot of that now, but they would sometimes send like a regional message to everybody. And he was banging on about like it's all a test for this new 5G and all the stuff. And I was like, dude, like it's just a message to warn you guys if something bad's happening. Like it's not a bad thing. But moving on to the announcement in Dubai to not share footage of like bad things landing, missiles hitting, debris as it's all been hitting buildings. I mean, there was a message about that, and they basically said if you do it, you can get up to fines of like I think sort of 300,000 euros or something like that. And I don't know if there's been tourists just like taking the mick, but the reality is when you're in the Middle East and you're in Dubai, there are rules, and you've got to follow them, right? It's simple. Right? We're all here to have a good time and make some money and live in the sunshine, and that's fine. But you're living in a different country, and if the government says you've got to do something, you got to do it. It's simple. And the other good thing is that there's not a bigger party city in the world than Dubai. So there's more alcohol gets sold in this city than almost anywhere on the planet, and nobody knows that. I've still got. It might not be the #1 place for alcohol, but there's these lads will tell you. Drinking and sort of alcohol culture in Dubai is huge, and I'll sometimes go back home and people will say to me, "Oh, but you can't even get a pint in Dubai, can you?" I'm like, "Dude, man, I heard that like 16 years ago." Like people have still not realised, It's really interesting how these sort of mindsets stay rooted in certain cultures, and like it's also very fascinating how to be fair, how little we know about Iran as a culture. We don't know much about it, and I live 100 miles away from North Korea. I don't know much about that either. But communication and the ability to we're all in branding, we're all in communication, right? I think as designers, we have this like ability to dissect information quite well because we're constantly looking at things, words, visuals, things mixing together. And it's our job to kind of pull the bits out of that and kind of reorganize it or whatever. So we've almost got this like fourth vision or whatever you call it to see some of this stuff, although it gets harder with a whole bunch of AI these days. But yeah, I just think all of this kind of topic is interesting. And if I was in government, put it this way, I would use graphic designers to, number one, brand political campaigns more accurately. So did you guys see the Mamdani campaign in New York? It was amazing. You see all the graphics of that? I mean, Ben's an illustrator. He'll probably know about that. It's like really, really cool, right? And the way that connected with everybody through using branding and graphic design made him win by like a 70% of the vote or something like that. And I feel a bit frustrated when I see the Green Party popping up on Facebook and they've got this like shitty old logo. And I'm like, Zach, you're doing a good job, but you know, your logo is dog shit. You know, like let us help. I actually messaged him on Facebook and I was like, dude, you probably is not going to see this, but I can get a few people together to fix the Green Party logo. Like, trust me, we'll do it in like 5 minutes, you know? So, but yeah.
I'll help. Join.
Yeah. Well, let's do it. Let's do it. So, but yeah, cool. But no, I know that it's a long conversation. So, before we go on to the next topic, which is not necessarily even, we can talk about anything. But does anybody want to add anything or say anything else or talk about anything else?
Let me just ask something specially for the people outside of Dubai. What's the perception? Because all we see is media. And since this started, I messaged Aaron straight away and Garrett as well. And we hear a different story, like from what Chris is telling. Yes, it's chaotic, but not what media says. And I just wanted to ask, like, Paul and Hyperfocus team as well, what's the perception of it?
Could I just say, I think it depends where you're getting your news from, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I try and pick and choose what I listen to. It's kind of, like on a political level, it's like, okay, who's instructing what kind of thing. There's that information sort of thing. But for me, I'm only kind of like, the only news stories that get through to me is like the human things. Do you see what I mean? So like, if something happens to a school or something like that, do you know what I mean? But the problem for me, I'm in the UK, is that there's too much kind of fluff around it. So they'll focus on some influencers getting arrested for sharing footage, but that's like, I don't know, 0.5% of any news that anyone really cares about. But those are the stories that spread. Do you know what I mean? Because it kind of, I don't know, it's like an on-trend thing, Dubai influences and that kind of thing. But it's completely ignoring anything human sort of thing. So it's hard, but it's hard.
Yeah.
The news now, where you get like the straight political, like this is what's going on, this is what people are saying, the human stuff, and then also like block out the fluff. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, it's, for me, like that whole situation it's impossible to judge from the UK what's really going on. Do you see what I mean? Like, this is the straightest view I've had on it in weeks, just from
exactly
of you guys explaining it, sort of thing. So I mean, it's hard to say, and people will believe anything.
Yeah, especially with social media and everything being so like 100% of the time you see things that happened like 5 minutes ago. You don't know sometimes what to focus on or what is true, what is not. Especially like, I'm in Portugal, right? All the media says like, oh, airport got striked, a bunch of image of airport, but they don't mention most of the times was not a direct strike, was a debris. So there is a lot of like
debris,
missing things to tell their narrative sometimes.
And it's all just about clicks, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's like a lot of the time they care about as many likes as possible. A building got hit. But yeah, I mean, I've lived in Dubai for 15 years, and there's this kind of like ferocious requirement for journalists in Dubai, I often find, to just chat shit about the place. And I've said to Paul like several times, like, I think you should come over and check it out. You'd really love it. And like anywhere I can go to Newcastle and I'm going to see I'm going to see the Geordie Shore crowd, and I'm going to see my really cool friends who like are buyers at End within a 30-minute radius. You know, I'm sure you guys know End a little bit, the clothing store. So I did their first logo on High Bridge Street, by the way, just as a little kind of drop there. But yeah, I mean, it's like everywhere. There's idiots and there's really cool people and there's just families there. But Dubai's always been like just a place to kind of pick at. And I think the stuff that's been happening recently is just kind of allowed or kind of empowered kind of professional complainers and news journalists to do that a little bit more. But yeah, this is actually one of the reasons why it was good to get you guys together, just to kind of see how it is, because I'm also not there as well. But I've definitely spoke to a few people and friends and checked in with them. So, all right. So shall we move on to the next topic? Thanks for jumping in there, Ben. Before we do, one last chance. Has anyone got another topic, or shall I choose the next topic? One thing that I've been doing a little bit recently is I had an idea about ways to help companies, which doesn't involve doing design work, but it allows them to enable design to happen better. And I'll not go into the details like loads, but it's basically helping marketing teams to get work done better at a lightweight relationship. I'm sure you guys know that when you do work for clients, often you've got to work with their teams, internal teams, and sometimes it gets difficult to get the work to be consistent once you either hand it over or once, you know, they're also working on it and engaged in it. So I'm trying to kind of have a middle ground where we can help each other, and I can do a very lightweight kind of mentoring for marketing teams and stuff like that. But I was just curious if you know, as designers, we might not be as busy as we used to be for whatever reason. And I don't mean generally, because I'd like to think that the industry is more exciting than it's ever been. And I personally feel more positive than I ever have about the design industry. But generally speaking, it's always just good to have a few side hustles, right? So the point is, and I'm going to shut up now because my daughters just came home. What you guys got? Any side hustles? You know, you got any ideas? I know obviously Paul and Hyperfocus guys do the YouTube and all of that. Anyone doing any other things? I know that Lee's got about 3 different strains of his business. Crash has got a few different strains. Yeah, anyone want to add to that?
I think for me, touching on what you just said there, Gar, I think diversifying, we've done that a couple of years ago. It was a reason why we set up Creators Academy. So we were finding that clients had that same problem. We were passing work over and they were constantly coming back with, how can I do this? How can I do this? So we kind of built a whole educational business off the back of that, really. And also with one eye on changes with AI. So we knew time for money was going to be difficult in the Northeast. It's pretty slim pickings at times. There's a lot of the same faces fighting over the same work. So it's been really important to us to pivot, but I suppose we've been used to doing that for a good few years now. But yeah, I think it's almost expected to have something in addition to just like a kind of time for money offer now. I think a lot of companies are a lot more receptive to it. I think it's a lot easier to upsell those things now.
Paul, do you want to tell us a little bit about the channel?
I mean, like for us, like you know, also one of the reasons that we're in this call as well is like and bringing people together. We all ultimately want the same thing, and I think there's too much gatekeeping in the industry, and we kind of want to break down those barriers as well. And there's a lot of independent artists and creatives, especially in our community and around our area as well. And we just moved into a new studio, and we wanted to put more and more events on where we bring people together, whether that's in real life or, you know, hanging out like this. And we've got a big event coming up in, when is it? It's in like May. In May, yeah. So we're going to be working with Affinity, the design program, or the new tool that they've kind of relaunched, and we're going to be like the German representative for Affinity, and that also allows us, they're giving us a budget, and that allows us to have like a platform to actually be able to bring international speakers and also the local community together, and us to be able to express what we do in a certain way as well, and use our space to do that. I think that's really cool to kind of be able to leverage what you have, and to also to be able to give back a bit. So, and that's also been a knock-on effect from the YouTube channel as well. Just being able to have all these connections and people that we can reach out to bring them, say, on stage or into the environment where they're going to be able to share their thoughts and ideas. And I think that's super valuable especially for younger creatives. I mean, for anybody, to be quite honest, at this time of uncertainty, but especially for, we talked about celebrating the freelancers, which, if any of you, I'm sure you're all independent, right? We're always the last ones to be invited to the party, right? Everyone else is having their Christmas parties or doing whatever, and we're kind of, got our face at the window wishing that we were part of the team, officially. And we also want to kind of flip that on their head as well, and we'd like to celebrate everybody, bring everyone together. So that's another kind of side project that we're doing that kind of interconnects with the studio, our ethos, and the channel as well.
A lot about what you're doing is kind of giving back to the community and bringing people together, which is a really, really great thing to do, and will only do nothing but pay dividends for you. But also kind of bringing that collaborative nature into designers, especially younger designers, especially in the world we live in now online. There's so many people who will be working quite siloed, and I think collaboration is the thing that I love the most in design. But I do get to do it, not so much in the day job, but in my side hustle I do, and I think it's a great thing. Liliana, I'm going to keep pronouncing your name wrong. Sorry, Lilena. Someone else with a similar name, and I keep going with that one in my head. You were going to say something?
Yes, I want to agree on also including the new generation, because I mean, my studies are not that long ago, but I imagine studying nowadays, choosing to become a graphic designer or a communication designer must be quite challenging, because obviously everything is changing so quickly, and it's hard probably, and also with all the trouble going on in the world, it's hard to see probably your future. So I guess opening your doors or integrating, getting in contact with the universities or the schools to show them how it actually is, how they can step into this world, and how they can find their way through AA or with AI or whatever this is. I think also connecting or building this community and integrating the new talents, because obviously if everybody is working from home or is freelancing, it's quite hard. Who's your mentor? Who can you show up to?
We're looking to do we now become founders and a bit of a side hustle startup where we're doing workshops, and we're trying to now build a standard. So what does a capability design standard look like for all designers across everything, whether it's product, visual, research, all the different main factors, and to really help everyone at whatever level they're at to understand the skills they need to kind of progress. Because you have your craft, right? Your visual craft stuff that everyone kind of gets great at, or that you tend to focus on. You've got AI that goes across everything because it's infused with everything we do now. And how do you go about that in the best way possible, which to me is always back to the fundamentals. But also there's a bit of ethics and things involved in there. But then beyond that, as you try to progress, and as the juniors become middleweights and middleweights become leads and leads become directors, that skill set completely changes. You need to go into so much more in communication and business acumen and other areas that no one's teaching you unless you have a great mentor, which most people don't. And most designers I speak to, and I've been doing this for the last 12 months, I've been speaking to every designer I come across, both online and in person, and they don't have any mentors. No one does. There's a few exceptions, and all they say are like me. They go, "Yeah, I had one once back in 2001. Yeah, that guy was all right," and then that's it. So to me, it's I love to hear what you're saying there, Paul, and the team. Building these communities, bringing people together, and kind of sharing that knowledge, I think is super important. And then they start to ask those questions, right? Once you might be talking about craft, but then they're going to see how you communicating what you do or the work that you do for clients or whatever it might be, and then they're going to learn just by proxy by being part of that. So yeah, great stuff.
Is there in design specifically? So I'm an illustrator. There's no schemes or anything for mentoring. Do you know what I mean? For graduates or anything like that? Because I'm not doing it this year actually, but I've been mentoring for about 5 years now through the AOI, which is the Association of Illustrators in the UK, but they work worldwide. So every year I get kind of assigned a mentee and I work through them. They're normally last year of uni, or they're graduated, or they're not studying at all. And it is amazing. I love doing it because I learn from them as well a bit, because they're kind of like cool young things and whatever. They've got different influences. Like, they understand technology in a different way, but they don't know the industry at all. So I can introduce them to the industry and how to find work, or even how to run your own business and that kind of thing. But I'm always learning. So like the last 2 years, I got a kind of a view into how young people are using AI creatively, not just like asking AI to make a picture, but they're using it as part of their craft sort of thing, which I never would have imagined doing sort of thing, because I'm old school. But that mentoring scheme's amazing. And I think there's 2 or 3 in the illustration world. And I also do like private mentoring, which goes on with being like a handy side hustle. But yeah, is there nothing like that for young graphic designers or anything?
I don't think so, no. And I feel like there should be.
Not really.
Ben, one's a question and one's just I love what you said there about, and it's the classic quote of it, which is when one person teaches, 2 people learn. And I totally believe in that. Even if it's a case of you understanding how to articulate what you do and having to go through that process always helps you get better at what you're doing. Because again, as designers, we're supposed to be great communicators. So you need to be able to do that when you're teaching somebody, and you have to think about, well, how do I do this? Doesn't matter what you're teaching, whether it's design or anything else. But I have a question to you on that subject, in the sense that if you're a more traditional illustrator, which I always love to hear, because I've only ever worked with a few in my time, and every time I'm in a place where there is a great illustrator, they're always in such high demand. And I used to champion leadership, saying, you need to look after that illustrator because they're going to leave. And if they leave, we'll have a huge gap and we should bring more in. And of course, they didn't hold them in any kind of regard to the quality that they brought to all of the work. And of course, they left. So for you, someone who's kind of gone deep on their craft, and the influences you're seeing from the other students, like, how is that evolving for you? And do you think there's going to be more call for the likes of your sort of talent, where it's more hands-on, self-created, I assume, rather than, mass-produced AI type of stuff, where it's that bespokeness kind of comes into it?
Yeah, I'm already seeing like there's already quite a big kind of movement of, I mean, AI hasn't quite ruined everything yet, but it's present. And I think the fear is kind of, because most illustrators are freelancers, so everyone's worried about their business, their practice and everything. So there's already a big push on, showing up as proving that you're human sort of thing, talking about your craft, your process, that kind of thing. Whether it's like how you sell yourself, so, like, what's the first sentence on your website, whatever, but also how you kind of like, what you share on Instagram, which might be a kind of a little more playful or whatever, and it's also how you, if you're cold emailing art directors or something, which is kind of standard practice, but, write the email yourself, don't get ChatGPT to write it, sort of thing, because they're getting loads of emails and they're starting to think, well, they can see the format, they can see the words that are being used, and they know if someone's actually written that, like, are they being honest? Have they got integrity as a creative? Have they got a professional mind? Like, they're going to be easy to work with and that kind of thing. So I think, yeah, it's already kind of pretty clear that the craft, I can't say like what will win in the end, but people are already looking for the craft and pushing, craft sort of thing. I mean, I work digitally, I use Illustrator and that kind of thing, but, that's just my tool sort of thing. Yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump in. Well, I was with, sorry, I had another thought there, which I'll not go into. Really bad at that. But yeah, I was with the guy who I met. I'm now going into it, and I said I wouldn't. I met him at my local convenience store, and he was with his biking buddies, and they had some like nice, racing bikes. And I got chatting to him. I just arrived in Korea, and we got talking through cycling, but it turns out he works at a visual effects company that was acquired by Netflix, and he's worked on Stranger Things, he's worked on the Transformers movie, and I said to him while we were riding our bike today together, and I did like the 67 kilometers or whatever, we went down to Seongsu, which is a really cool, trendy area. Kith is there. Looking at Paul, you might recognize Kith. Really cool guy, Korean guy. He's like in his 50s now, and he's just left the company. But he we were talking about AI, and he's saying you've got no idea what it's doing within Netflix. Like, they're doing some wild stuff. So he said there's talk of actors like leasing their rights so that films and shows can basically use AI versions of themselves that they don't even need to act in, which is wild, right? But the interesting thing is that, like with everything's a tool that helps you do something. Like Canva's a tool, you know, like Shutterstock's a tool. You don't have to take photography. Everything's a tool to help you just do more, right? And there's always that like low hanging fruit of stuff that will get done by people who don't need stuff to a certain standard. But then there's the stuff at the top where I think everybody here is. And there's no doubt that there's a little bit of a shortening of where that ceiling is, I think. But I don't want anything that a freaking robot's done. You know, like if I'm, you know, like if we do a brand for, let's just say Emirates Airlines announced their new brand and they used AI to do it. Like, nobody's going to be doing that. It's not going to be winning any awards, right? Like we like humans still want humans to do stuff. You don't read a book that a freaking robot wrote. You know, who wants to do that, right? Do you want to go and watch a movie that the freaking AI made? I don't think so. I certainly don't. So I think there'll definitely be ways that things get produced, but I think the replacement of art and like human products as in design, communication, film, all of that stuff, I'd be very surprised if that reached a point where people who knew what they were doing, as long as they were on the outer edge of technology and blending all of that stuff together, as we always have done, I doubt we will be fully replaced. But I just don't think it's going to happen. I'm subscribed to like 5 different AI tools. I know me and Paul were talking about Topaz, which allows you to upscale video, right? Really cool. You can drop in a 1080p video that you might want to be a little bit more sharp in full screen, and you can I normally upres it to like 2,400 pixels, and it just makes it a bit more crispy. And that's really cool. I couldn't do that like 3 years ago, right? And I've got Midjourney, I've got Topaz, I've got, I'm really into Kling at the minute. I don't know if anyone's played with dropping photos into Kling and telling it to do stuff. And it's really good if you've only got photography content, but you want to make a video. Because if you've got like a brand or an event, you can clip really short clips of AI generated video together from real photography or even like mock-ups of your design. And when it's all clipped together really quick, it then becomes a piece of content that you can potentially use. You're not going to use it for, you know, a flagship video for Louis Vuitton, but you could use it for something on Instagram, right? So that's what I like about it all. You're muted, Kipper.
So I read something very interesting yesterday on The Verge. Apparently, Ben Affleck created his own AI company that operates on a very focused data set that is targeted towards movie production. And he just sold it for like $600 million or something. I think it was to Netflix or some other giant, like a cinematography giant. And apparently that is an AI engine that allows you to you can plug it into the production of an actual full-scale movies, and it just, you know, fills in the gaps wherever you need it. So yeah, you know, to your point, Gareth, as much as we might still appreciate the arts of cinematography, the border between human acted cinematography and AI acted cinematography might have blurred without us even noticing. You know, I found it really wild. The fact that the guy that I thought was like, you know, the biggest sort of enemy of using AI in the cinematography actually created a project that plugs it right into the pipeline. That's it.
I know people's got to bounce, by the way, so I think we should probably just give a little wave while everyone does. But if anyone wants to chat for another 5 minutes, I can stay on. But if not, thank you all. I think it's been wonderful to see all the new faces and great to meet a few of the Hype Focus gang. See you on Paul, sharing you on various channels on LinkedIn. I'm not going to mention YouTube anymore, but fantastic to meet you. Thanks for all of the contributions, and yeah, we do these like once every 4 weeks, 3 weeks, something. So if you ever want to listen in, it's just great to have a natter, right? Hope you've
You
enjoyed.
guys take care and be safe, yeah?
Cheers, guys.
Great meeting you all.
See you later.
Cheers.
Bye.
See ya, guys.